Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus Channel. The Zumwalt program began as the US Navy searched for a destroyer that could operate closer to hostile coastlines, strike targets far inland, and survive by being harder to detect. Instead of following the familiar outline of earlier warships, the lead ship, USS Zumwalt, was shaped around stealth from the keel upward. Its inward-sloping tumble-home hull, enclosed deck edges, low profile, and angular superstructure were designed to reduce the ship's radar signature, making a 600-foot, roughly 15,000-ton destroyer appear much smaller on enemy sensors. Construction demanded a level of precision rarely seen in surface combatants. At Bath Iron Works in Maine, enormous steel modules were assembled, moved, joined, and fitted with internal systems long before the ship touched water. The hull sections carried passageways, electrical runs, machinery spaces, and compartments that had to line up exactly when the blocks came together. Unlike older destroyers, Zumwalt used an integrated power system, generating electrical power for both propulsion and ship service loads. That design was meant to support high-demand sensors, combat systems, and future weapons needing large amounts of energy. Even cable routing became part of the combat design, because power, cooling, communications, and damage control had to remain organized inside a hull built around reduced signature. When the first Zumwalt-class destroyer was launched in 2013, it represented a visible break from traditional naval design. Tugboats, shipyard workers, and line handlers controlled the massive hull as it shifted from construction cradle to water, beginning the careful transition from industrial project to seagoing warship. The Navy later commissioned USS Zumwalt in Baltimore on the 15th of October 2016, honoring Admiral Elmo R. Bud Zumwalt Jr., the youngest chief of naval operations and a reformer remembered for reshaping life and policy inside the fleet. The ceremony joined naval tradition with a ship that looked almost futuristic, with smooth surfaces, hidden equipment, and fewer exposed angles than a normal destroyer. The commissioning ceremony marked more than the arrival of a new destroyer. It introduced the lead ship of a class limited to 3 vessels, each intended to carry advanced sensors, missiles, automation, and a reduced crew compared with many large warships. A typical Arleigh Burke destroyer often deploys with more than 300 sailors, while Zumwalt was designed around a core crew of roughly 147. That smaller manning concept placed greater responsibility on automation, integrated monitoring, and highly trained specialists. It also meant that every sailor aboard had to understand how one decision in engineering, navigation, or combat systems could affect the whole ship. As the ship prepared to sail away, every movement remained deliberate. Mooring lines were tended, tugs held position, and the crew managed the slow departure from the pier. For a stealth destroyer, leaving the dock for open water is not just a ceremonial moment, it is the first proof that years of design, welding, wiring, software integration, and crew training can finally move as one complete machine on its first careful passage safely. Life aboard a destroyer is a constant balance between combat readiness and daily survival inside a narrow steel city. On Arleigh Burke-class ships, the crew works in tight spaces where every ladder, hatch, passageway, and rack serves a purpose. Sailors sleep in stacked berthing compartments, eat in the mess, stand, watch around the clock, and train repeatedly because a destroyer may shift from quiet transit to combat action in seconds. Space is so limited that personal gear must be packed carefully. And even a simple movement from berthing to the mess decks can pass through working areas filled with pipes, cables, and watertight doors. Inside the ship, the bridge controls navigation, steering, and communication with nearby vessels, while the Combat Information Center tracks the surrounding air, surface, and subsurface picture. Radar technicians, operations specialists, fire control men, engineers, and electronics technicians keep the ship's sensors and weapons connected. The Arleigh Burke class is built around the Aegis combat system, with powerful radars feeding information to consoles where sailors identify contacts, evaluate threats, and prepare defensive or offensive responses. In busy waters, the team may track aircraft, merchant ships, small boats, and friendly units at the same time, while officers compare every contact against charts, orders, and rules of engagement. Below deck, propulsion teams monitor gas turbines, generators, pumps, valves, shafts, fuel systems, and cooling loops. The ship's gas turbine engines give it high speed, but they also require constant checks. Engineers listen for abnormal vibrations, watch temperatures, inspect pressure readings, and respond quickly when alarms appear. In a warship, propulsion is not just about movement. It is what keeps the ship maneuverable, electrically powered, and alive. Daily maintenance fills the spaces between watches. Sailors inspect lifelines, chip corrosion, repaint surfaces, secure fittings, test emergency gear, and repair small failures before they become dangerous. Saltwater attacks metal continuously, so even a modern destroyer needs hands-on care every day. On the weather deck, sailors wear life vests and helmets while working near open railings, moving around flight equipment, or preparing for small boat and helicopter operations. Flight operations add another layer of complexity. When an MH-60 helicopter approaches, the deck crew clears the landing area, checks tie-downs, positions, firefighting gear, and communicates with pilots through signals and radio coordination. A destroyer's flight deck may be small, but it extends the ship's reach for anti-submarine warfare, surveillance, search and rescue, and logistics. The offensive side of a destroyer is equally demanding. Vertical launch cells can fire missiles for air defense, land attack, and anti-submarine missions. Close-in weapon systems defend against last-ditch threats with rapid automatic fire. During live-fire exercises, crews coordinate target information, weapons release, safety arcs, and post-fire checks. Torpedo exercises add another dimension, with launch teams preparing tubes, confirming settings, and releasing weapons designed to hunt submarines beneath the surface. These drills turn ordinary routines into muscle memory. So when a destroyer is far from port, the crew can fight, repair, maneuver, and survive without hesitation during drills, storms, and emergencies repeatedly. Shipboard activity aboard Zumwalt and other destroyers depends on coordination that begins long before any weapon fires. On deck, line-handling teams practice the basic skills that control thousands of tons of moving steel near a pier. A mooring line looks simple from a distance, but under strain, it can become extremely dangerous. Sailors move carefully, stay clear of snapback zones, pass commands, and use capstans or bits to control tension as the ship comes alongside or prepares to depart. The work can be wet, loud, and physically demanding, but it is one of the first skills that proves whether a crew can move safely as one team. Inside the hull, the rhythm is just as disciplined. Watch teams rotate through the bridge, engineering spaces, combat systems rooms, and security stations. Meals are served in tight windows. Training is fitted between maintenance periods, and drills interrupt the normal day without warning. Fire, flooding, toxic gas, man overboard, steering loss, and combat damage are treated as real possibilities. Because at sea, the crew is its own fire department, repair yard, medical response team, and security force. A small mistake can spread quickly on a ship, so sailors rehearse communications, isolation valves, repair lockers, and evacuation routes until the reactions become automatic. Compared with an aircraft carrier, a destroyer gives sailors little extra space. Passageways are narrow, machinery is loud, and many compartments serve more than one purpose. Still, the ship must support navigation, communications, weapons control, aviation, supply, medical care, food service, laundry, and command functions. That is why every sailor's job connects to another. A technician maintaining electronics may be supporting radar tracking. A cook feeding the crew is supporting endurance. An engineer repairing a pump may be preserving the ship's ability to fight. Zumwalt's smaller crew makes this integration even more important. Automation can monitor systems, but people still investigate alarms, secure equipment, rig lines, stand lookout, operate consoles, and make decisions under pressure. Whether aboard a stealth destroyer or a proven Arleigh Burke, the ship works because hundreds of small actions happen correctly, repeatedly, and often out of sight. After months at sea, the return to home port becomes one of the most emotional scenes in naval life. A destroyer approaching the pier is no longer just a combat platform. It is a workplace, bringing sons, daughters, husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, and friends back to the people who waited through updates in silence. Before the ship reaches the harbor, the crew shifts into another carefully controlled evolution. Sailors clean passageways, secure gear, prepare uniforms, check lines, brief pier assignments, and stand ready for the final approach. On the bridge, officers and navigation teams coordinate speed, distance, tugs, currents, and pier clearances. On deck, line handlers prepare heavy mooring lines, heaving lines, and fenders so the ship can be brought alongside safely. The pier is filled with families, command teams, bands, banners, and children holding signs. For the crew, the last few hundred feet can feel longer than the entire voyage. Once the brow is rigged and the ship is safely moored, the steel barrier between deployment and home finally opens. First hugs often belong to new parents, spouses, and families marking milestones that happened while the ship was away. Homecoming also reveals what destroyers do quietly for the fleet. Ships like USS Ramage, USS Bunker Hill, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, and newer combatants spend months protecting sea lanes, operating with strike groups, tracking threats, launching aircraft, training with allies, and maintaining presence far from American shores. Their power is measured not only in missiles, radars, turbines, and torpedoes, but in the endurance of the sailors who keep them running. From Zumwalt's stealthy launch and commissioning, to the crowded life inside destroyers, to the daily line handling, maintenance, aviation, live fire drills, and emotional return to port, each stage shows how a modern warship becomes more than steel. It becomes a moving system of technology, discipline, and human effort, built to leave the dock, operate at sea, and come home again. That is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.